loved ones. Thank you for joining us today. And if you're new to the channel, then welcome to the family. Today, we have reunion part 1, and it was a jam-packed episode. So, let's get started.
Welcome to Fueled by Intentions, where we talk about faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. Sponsored by Bynum's Business Solutions, where the right fit is made simple. We specialize in tips, tools, and strategies designed to help you achieve your financial health so that you can take control of how you spend your money so that you can spend more time with your family, friends, and doing the things you love. So let's jump right into the video.
Well, hello, John. How are you doing today?
I am doing fine. Everwani, how are you?
I am doing great. Well, this episode really gave us a lot to talk about. I was really glad to see what was going on 5 months after decision day, which means they were married for 7 months by the time they taped this episode. All right, well then let's go ahead and move into the group discussion. We see the group all get together and they talked about Mark losing 40 pounds, and I need to lose 40 pounds. So congratulations to Mark. I'm really trying. That is really hard to do, but he didn't look like he lost weight to me. Did he look like 40 pounds difference to you?
No, he didn't look like he had lost 40 pounds, but hey, kudos to him.
They said that they were glad to be away from the pressure. Alyssa said that they all can learn from watching themselves. Do you think that Alyssa had any revelations from watching herself on TV, or do you think she is the same Alyssa that she went into the show with?
Unfortunately, no, she didn't learn a thing. She's the same, and she has the same denials, the same perception, the same defensive posture that she had in the beginning. I don't think Alyssa learned a thing. So I think life will be the thing that teaches Alyssa.
Awesome. Then Lindsey, she said that she was going to either find love or to learn some uncomfortable truths about herself, or both. Do you think that Lindsey took in or learned the uncomfortable truths? Did you feel like she showed a difference in terms of what she learned from watching the show?
No, I didn't in terms of Lindsey as well. I think Lindsey says, Lindsey seems to judge men for either being strong or being financially superior to her. And that's what she bases her comments on. So maybe she'll find someone that's, I'm sure she'll find someone that's financially superior to her. And then she'll find out that those particular people are not going to take her attitude or her disposition or the things that she says and stuff like that. I think that they're going to put her in check, and at that point in time, she's going to learn a lot about herself. But until then, no.
Olajawon said watching himself on television, there was a lot of self-reflection and growth. What did you see self-reflection or growth within Olajawon?
You know what? I did. Surprisingly, I did. I was always against Olajawon, because of the way that he acted during the show. But I think after he saw itself and he saw what I saw and what viewers saw, he had self-reflection, and he was trying to, how could he be such an idiot or say such stupid things? But no, I think that he did have reflective moments, and I think that there's growth there, and I think that that's really going to help their relationship. Although I'm still on the fence in terms of will it endure, but I think that that's definitely going to contribute to the maceration of that relationship.
The one that stood out to me most was Michael's comment when he said that you're judged on a 30-second clip, and it may be even something that you regret, but people are judging you by it. And I think that that is the worst thing for me in terms of watching this show, because I do think that we, myself included, we do judge them on a sound bite or something that is said and things that they may regret. And if we were taped, we would probably be in similar situations. And then Jasmina said that, she saw her attitude and that she could make some very crazy comments sometimes, but that the comments in the comment section doesn't bother her. So I thought that that was really interesting. And then the fact that they showed us the flashback of Alyssa being like everything was okay at tennis, and them kind of really knowing what really happened. I think that that just highlighted. But then, Alyssa said she didn't feel comfortable talking to the women. She wasn't at that point with them where she could be open and honest. Then we got this whole thing about Steve and Lindsey and how Steve was trying to protect his energy, and he was offended because Lindsey said he was jobless and a stay-at-home mom and they weren't going to really work. Personally, I don't really think that that's like something that you'd be mad at. I mean, that you're gonna voice your opinion on the cameo. So out of all the things that Lindsey could have said, I thought that that was very mild and not a big deal, but it sounded like they were really upset about it. And then they got into the whole thing as to where he said something about her on the plane. But I think that he tried to say that that was a joke, but people don't take that as, I wouldn't, if I was Lindsey, I wouldn't have taken that as a joke. Lindsey started the fight on the plane. I think that that was an inappropriate comment. And for him to say it was a joke and then I apologize, and so now she shouldn't be upset anymore. I think that that's just, I don't know. I think that that was a cop-out.
We think that everyone in the show will like each other during this process, but no, there's some people you vibe with and there's some people you don't. We saw that with Katina and Lindsey. There's some people you vibe with on the show and some people that really turn you off, that you probably won't spend a lot of time with them after the show is over. So no, I think that Steve, he just didn't want to spend a lot of time with Lindsey, and she wasn't one of his favorite people on the show.
First, we see the interview with Katina and Olajawon as they talk to Kevin. What did you think about that discussion?
Well, I like the fact that Kevin told him, hey man, I really didn't think you guys were going to make it. I really didn't think you were going to make it. And I like the fact that Kevin was honest with them what his prediction was. Olajawon agreed that most of the people probably didn't think that they were going to make it, but thank God that they're not like most people, and that he was repentant. She knew him. They didn't know him, but she knew him. And that's why he loved and he respected Katina, because I think he praised her for her efforts in terms of, watching him go through this growth. He said that she made him the man that he is. She made him a better man just by being patient and watching him go through this growth. So he gave her a lot of kudos on that.
Yes, I agree. I really like that they went back to the beginning, and I like that they made a clarification about the whole wedding dance, because I thought that that was inappropriate, but that he asked her. I thought that was gentleman of him, and that she wanted to get her mom out the way, because that's where I see it being like a little inappropriate, is if your mom was there. And then he made a statement that his father had passed away when he was 16. He's probably said this before, but I didn't get it. But then he said that his father has chosen Katina for him. And for me, just from a Christian perspective, I just like, they're not afterlife. They're not choosing your spouse for you. So, but everybody has their different beliefs. And I do feel like some people hang on to that in order to hang on to that loved one and the memory of the loved one that they have. And maybe some people really do believe that when people pass away, that they are making these decisions for them. However, I don't think that that's true for my life or what I believe in terms of being a Christian. But I really did like that they made a distinction about the cooking, and that she clarified that it was just, one particular meal, and to see that they're not doing that anymore, and that he is making concessions for her, and that he finally validated that she is a working person and that she has a job and that they can equally contribute in that area. So I really did enjoy those conversations.
Like I said, that's that growth process that you're talking about. He went through that evolution of what a good couple, a good marriage relationship is all about. And Olajawon finally did do something in terms of the word sacrifice. We see that he sacrificed that having a cooked meal every day. He made that sacrifice. So he's starting to make sacrifices, which is what couples do. Okay, you sacrifice for each other for the better good of the relationship, for the better good of the family. So that's growth, and we see that Olajuwon is starting to grow, and he's expressed it, and then he validated it when he pulled a Steve. What is that? He put a ring on Katina's finger. Okay, which was and another ring, as opposed to the original ring that they had when they were married. And apparently the ring that he put on her finger was a ring that was in their family that meant a lot to him. And it meant a lot to Katina to receive it. So I thought that was beautiful.
I was wondering about that. I didn't get that it was a family heirloom, but I didn't see the James Allen, logo.
Yes.
So
No.
I was thinking, okay, maybe he didn't get it from James Allen. I loved a lot of his quotes that he said today. And I love Katina when she said that she knew that if she just held out and that she wanted to be patient and, and I love, he said, you work hard today, focus on tomorrow, and the rest is history. And that it takes patience and effort is the key to a happy life. So I'm glad that he has a new definition for a happy life. But I do think that is true. Marriage it's hard work, and a lot of people don't see that, and you have to put in the work, and you do have to be patient and learn the person. And also, like when he said that you have to, if a man shows you who he is, don't be scared of that. You should be scared when a man doesn't show you like who he is, but you should get to know him and be understanding of that. And although I don't think that always turns out the way that it did in this time, but I think that just the reunion and their overall conversation shows what a strong woman that Katina is, and how, her believing in him and standing by him against the odds does help a man feel secure. And I think that gives him the freedom to make the changes that he needs to make in order to allow this relationship to flourish.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Olajawon sold his house. And how Olajuwon, how much he enjoyed that house, okay? So he sold his house because he said he had memories of that house, of him, as he calls his name, Isaac, at that time, and the things that he did in that house. And he didn't want to take that stuff with him, that baggage, if you will, with him into his marriage. So he sold his house. And I think he also commented on, he probably cut off a few friends too. So Olajuwon has grown. We see him making sacrifices for Katina, which we didn't see before. So yes, I have to agree, Olajuwon has grown.
One thing that really resonated with me with what Olajuwon said is he said that he could not believe that he was acting that way, and no one around him said anything. Nobody said like, hey man, what you're saying is crazy. Now, don't get me wrong, in the setting that they're in, I understand that, because they are as a camera crew and they are not supposed to say anything. They're just supposed to document what's happening in your life. But that did make me reflect on our own lives when we are around people and and nobody will say anything. And it's just like, that is how we pour into one another's lives. Like, if your friend is acting crazy, not that you need to embarrass them, but you do need to pull them aside and say, hey, you know what, the way you're acting. But a lot of times, even in real life, that doesn't happen because we don't want to get involved. We don't want to make them mad, and I don't think that is how we should be, especially as God's family. And I feel like a lot of times people say, well, you can't judge me. Well, the thing about us as Christians is that I cannot judge your salvation. I can't say whether you're going to go to heaven or whether you're going to go to hell, but I can judge once you say you're a Christian. Once you say you're a Christian, I can hold you accountable to God's standards and his word in love. But yes. I think a lot of times we don't do that, which is, is a parallel to what Olajawon was saying. And I don't know the other people in his lives, because they weren't there when it was going on. They may not have been able to give as much insight, but I do understand why the cameraman and the people who are there for production, they're not supposed to step in. They're just supposed to document what's going on.
Relationships are very, very delicate. So it's hard to do.
Another thing that I did like about Olajawon is I feel like he really did make a 360 change. And what it reminded me of, and it could be just where I am in my life, in my Bible study this week, is it reminded me of David and Nathan. When Nathan brought David before David, his son with Bathsheba, and David accepted it, that like, yeah, you are right. I did do this in the sight of the Lord, and I'm going to repent, and I'm going to turn away from it. And he did repent from it. I mean, don't get me wrong, he killed Uriah and took his wife, but the baby ended up dying because of it. But I feel like he did accept what Nathan was telling him, and he did have a repentant heart. And I really saw that in terms of Olajawon repenting and saying now he's going to do things differently, based on the mirror that was before him was a television screen, and him getting the opportunity to see how his actions was affecting Katina.
Yes, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was looking at the show with, his friend. We remember his best friend. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was looking at the show with him and said, "Man, can you believe I did that?" And stuff would bounce up, and man, I can't believe you did that, and that girl still stayed with you. So I think he had some outside advice or comments on it as he was looking at that show, because other people saw it too, and he said, man, you got a strong woman there, because whoo, she took all that from you, she's still there.
Yes. Yeah, the last thing that we saw between Katina and Olajawon was the most disappointing thing for me in the episode, was the unseen footage of him talking to Pastor Cal. And it was quite obvious that he was saying that Katina did not fulfill her word in performing an intimacy act with him in order to relieve him. And he indicated that happened pretty normally throughout their relationship. And I was just really disappointed. I wish they would have left that clip out. I felt like the story of them waiting to consummate their marriage was great, but then to know that they were doing other things within their marriage, and that he was the one receiving the pleasure, it didn't indicate that she was. I don't think that that's a big sacrifice, because if you are receiving the release, like, it's not a big deal to wait on, other ways to be relieved. And I don't know, that really did, that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. I don't like to see women be, I don't want to say used, because, he didn't make her, so she obviously participated in it willingly. But I don't like that dynamics between men and women.
Yeah, I thought that was wrong anyway, but what it really did show is the selfishness of Olajawon. If you're going to go to that degree, why don't you satisfy your wife as well, as opposed to just wanting to be satisfied? And then using that, you didn't have to continue to promote, oh, we haven't done anything intimate, you didn't have to promote that, you didn't have to, but you did. So you did that. So you used that as a facade, I guess, to make you seem like a better person. But we all recognize that you weren't.
Absolutely. And honestly, I feel like he didn't even have to bring, that was not a question that Pastor Cal asked him.
No.
He brought that up because he wanted that out there. And I do see that, I have been team Olajawon totally, but I felt like that was a totally selfish and disrespectful act to Katina. Really disrespectful. Well, that was Katina and Olajawon, but I think that they're going to make it. What are your thoughts?
You know what? The verdict's still out for me. Let's give it a year or two and see if they're still vibing. I just don't see, even though I see the repentant Olajawon, you know. I don't know if I'm looking at a lamb or if I'm looking at a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's going to show his teeth or his fangs again later on. That's going to end the relationship. So I'm saying let's give it time and see what happens.
Now we see Alyssa and Chris back on the main stage together. I do like that they were able to sit together, because like Kevin said, some people, they can't even sit on the couch together. And it appears that they have been around each other since filming has ceased, because they have gone to group events. The first thing we see from this couple is Alyssa wanting to make a statement. And I was really excited about this statement. I was like all engaged. I really wanted to hear Alyssa. What are you gonna say? Are you gonna apologize? Which is what I expected. I expected an apology. But in her whole statement, Alyssa wanted us to know that she had pure intentions when she started this process. And that was really important to her, because she said it several times throughout the scenes that, you know, when he said that I didn't have the purest intention. And I believe her. I believe that when she started, she did have the purest intentions. And I like when he qualified it later, because he says, okay, well then let me qualify it. You know, when you started, you had the purest intentions, but her intentions changed. So I thought that that was very interesting in terms of starting off the conversation with a statement.
Yeah, I mean, she's a nice person.
Yes, we see she is. One thing too, Kevin asked her, he said, what about Chris rubbed you the wrong way? Alyssa answered the question about, you know, what the friend said and what happened, but she never said anything about Chris. And I really thought that that was really telling that, well, we all saw it. And so I feel like if there was really some things that Chris was doing behind the scenes that we weren't seeing, that would have been her time to say, well, this is what he did, or this is, but he didn't. He really was just based on how he looked alone. And then I feel like, I really feel like it was based on what he looked like alone. I think that now the friends, you know how you don't like somebody and now you're looking for a reason not to like them? I think the whole friends conversation, that was just like, yeah, that like she latched on to that reason as to not like him. But I think that it really was when she looked at him before she even found out what he did or anything, she was done.
It was funny because even during the marriage process at the beginning, they said, what would probably turn you off, you know? And she said, well, if they don't have good teeth and if they, you know, they look a certain way and stuff like that. And as she was saying it, they focused on Chris standing at the altar preparing for marriage. And he looked, as she described, the person that she did not like. That's how he looked. So yes, it was looks. It was looks.
Now, Alyssa claims that what we saw of her was because she was mentally just spinning out of control, and she did not know right or wrong, and she did not know what she was saying. Do you buy into that?
No, I think that what actually happened is she when she first started the process, she saw what she did not like, what she did not want, but she couldn't figure out a way to get out of it. She was trying to find out, what can I do to get out of this? I mean, I don't want them to force me to do this, but I've signed this contract and stuff like that. So I can't, you know, she couldn't see her way out of the situation. And I think that was what was truly frustrating to her. And I think that's where she's saying she was having that mental anguish. That's where the mental anguish came. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. You didn't give me what I wanted. You guys stop. Hey, just let me go home. Oh no, I have a contract. I don't want to pay that money. All this stuff. And I think all of that all compound to her attitude and her disposition. And I think that's what we actually saw.
So I'm not sure if I'm getting it. So you're thinking that it may have been some mental instability just because of the magnitude of trying to make a decision of how to move forward.
Yes, yes. I do think that there's some mental issues there.
Okay, I'm always touchy because, mental health is such a delicate subject when we're talking about anyone. And I'm on the fence. I don't know if I believe her or if I believe that she was trying to make an excuse for her actions, so I don't know if I believe that she was having a mental struggle, which, we can be sane and still have a mental struggle with a particular situation. So maybe that's what it was. She was having a mental struggle, but I can't tell which one was more a mental struggle or her being just spoiled and not getting her way and making a tantrum, throwing a tantrum because she did not get what she asked for. And I don't know which way I'm leaning, because some things that she says, I'm like, well, maybe she really was, having a mental breakdown. And then something she says, I just think that, okay, this is a 2-year-old who didn't get their way, who is now rolling out on the floor, trying to make people do what they want them to do.
And I think the latter. I mean, it could be a combination of both, but I think the latter has more weight. I think we had this 2-year-old, this spoiled 2-year-old that was pouting, and they pouted throughout the entire situation, and they were making these outlandish remarks because they were still in the pouting role. But what complicated that, or what compounded that, was the fact that when we look at Olajawon, after seeing the show, after seeing the way that he was portrayed on television and stuff like that, he was repentant. He said, hey, I gotta own it. Yeah, what you guys saw, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if I would have saw that person myself, I would have said the same thing that you said. However, he took ownership where Alyssa did not.
Yes.
Alyssa, she was like in a denial of she had done anything wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's why when we're looking at, well, really, is there something mental there? Because we know that she had an opportunity to see the show, and now that she's seen the entire show, is she going to take on any accountability of her actions? And we see that she did not.
Chris indicated that the show could match you on different factors, but being decent and respectful person, they couldn't evaluate that. And I think that he also indicated that he would have left long before had he known the rude and disrespectful things that she was saying about him. And that the most disrespectful thing was, I don't really know the words that she used because they bleep it out every time, but the derogatory words that she used related to him being just like a used car salesperson who sells houses. And he was really, really offended. Do you think that was the most offensive thing that Alyssa said about Chris? Did you agree with Chris?
Yes, I do. Because when you're talking to a man operates out of the code of respect. And we usually find respect in a job, we call the job responsibility. And after you have responsibility, you're yielded respect because people see how responsible you are and they respect you for being as responsible. So we see Chris, he has his job. He loves his job. He's great at his job, apparently. So that job has a lot of value and meaning to him. And for her to attack it, and to attack him personally for something like that, no, he could not forgive her for that. And so, yes, I agree with him. It was beyond forgiveness.
Well, I'm really surprised because when it first started, before he even met Alyssa, he made a comment about them, maybe they won't like that he's a real estate person. And I made a joke out of it. I'm like, who would think that a real estate aide, like who would make fun? Like, isn't that a respectable job? So just to see my thoughts and his thoughts prior to the show even filming and him meeting Alyssa, I never thought that his job would be like real estate. I mean, people become millionaires.
Yes.
Because they are in real estate. So I cannot believe that we're actually having this conversation and that it played out like it did, as if that was not a reputable job. That is a great career, and many people who are in it, they go very far fast if they can really find a footing within that industry. So I'm totally shocked. Then we see Alyssa on camera where she's first mad because the experts won't get on a plane, and then when they ask her does she want to speak to the experts, she's just like, no, I don't want to speak to them at all. And then she says on stage that she was mad at the producers, so she didn't want to speak to her. That is when I'm like, I don't know if that's a mental issue going on there, because you just said one thing in one moment, in one clip, and in that same clip you're going to change it around to something else. But I understand her being mad at the producers, the experts, and not wanting to speak with them at that time. But it sounded like they were trying to get her some help, and that she did not really want to hear the type of help that they could offer her.
She felt that the expert betrayed her. How did they betray her? Well, I told you what I wanted when I first signed up for this process, and you didn't give me what I wanted. So after that, that was complete betrayal and stuff like that. And you guys did that to me. I believe that you did that to me on purpose, because I guess each show has to have a villain, and you guys want me to be the villain.
Well, that's the truth. She really played that up. The last thing we see from them is the whole experiment, whether she was taking it serious, and then they rehashed her being able to move into the house and doing it for the experience, where she was really offended because Chris called her out on not being in for the right reasons, when
Yes.
of course that is her main point, is that she was, which I believe that she was in it for the right reasons in the beginning.
Yes.
I think that she just turned up and was spoiled at the end when it didn't turn out her way. And then we learned that Chris is dating, Alyssa is just living her life and taking it slow. Did you have anything else that stood out to you for this couple?
No, that was it. I think that in this process, I think that it did help Chris, because people saw what a good guy he was. And I think most of the couples rallied around Chris. And you saw that Lindsey was pro Chris and anti Alyssa. Okay, she was pro Chris and anti Alyssa. So I think that's how most of the couples were. They knew that Alyssa was the one that killed this relationship.
The thing about it is, I love Chris in terms of how he just let it all play out. He never lost himself. So he remained dignified through the whole season. But the thing is that we really don't know if Chris is a nice person or not, which he probably is.
Yes.
Because we never got to see him. We never
Yes.
got to, the show did not allow us to see him. But I will say, even in the pressure, I feel like he was still always respectful as to the words that he used, and how he spoke to Alyssa. So I do think that he is definitely a reputable guy. But I just feel like Chris could see some faults, but because he wasn't given an opportunity to show all of who he is, that we didn't get to see it. So good luck to Chris and his future relationships.
I think Chris basically honored the process. Okay. And he came in with an open mind. It might be a person that I might not like, I might not find attractive or something like that. But I think that the experts, I agree with the experts, that this person must have something of value, or they would not have put us together. They saw that we had something as a couple that could make us a long-lasting, that would make a happy marriage. And I think that's the way he looked at the process. However, I don't think Alyssa looked at the process that way. It was like, no, if I get what I want in the beginning, then this will work out. But she wasn't willing to make any sacrifices or to work on to see if the relationship had any redeeming qualities.
Yes. Well, I guess that's all for Alyssa and Chris. Next, we move to Jasmina and Michael. We hear that their relationship did not survive. One of the topics that they covered is Jasmina using the word aggressive, and Michael was really offended by that word as a African American man, and she doubled down. She said that she stands by the word and that it doesn't always mean threatening, but you can have an aggressive tone when you are speaking with someone.
Well, you know what? I agree that, like they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Aggressive and mellowed or mild is in the eye of the listener. Okay, and a lot of times it has to do with a person's past. If she was used to being treated a certain way or something like that in her past, triggers this word, boom, aggression. Okay, where Michael said, no, yeah, I got a little bit loud. Yeah, I got a little bit loud, but I wasn't aggressive. It wasn't threatening. So no, all we're talking about is ways of communication. So he communicates more voice for us because he was upset. So when he gets upset, he gets a little bit loud, but he did not get threatened. And that's the point that he was trying to make. And that's what the problem was with their communication.
She indicated that they didn't talk for the month. And I love when she validates that she understood why he didn't talk, because, he was saying, like, if I'm being myself, and she believes that's aggressive, he did not know where to go from there or how to correct that. And I really wish that at that point that some experts would have stepped in, because the thing I feel worse about this couple not making it than I do any couple that didn't make it, because I feel like that they could have made it. And I feel like if they would have had a little help, a little guidance to help them work through their different issues, then they could make it. And I really see them as a representative of many failed marriages, because a lot of times there's not this big thing in the room where marriages do not work out. There are things that could be worked on if we really had the tools in order to work on them and the willingness. So I really hated that this couple broke up, and it was really sad to see that they hadn't talked for a whole month because of the aggressive comment.
And remember, that was in the beginning. That was the first month of their relationship. But then remember, after they did play the intimacy game that Dr. Pepper had given them, then that broke down all the barriers. Trust had entered in. Now they're communicating differently. I'm not talking at you, I'm talking to you. All that stuff, so there was a change and there was a shift, and everyone saw the shift. Even her friends saw the shift. Even his sister saw the shift. Everyone saw the shift. Even the advisors saw the shift. Now, the question is, well, what stopped that? Since everyone saw the shift, my question is, why didn't Jasmina see it? She understood it because she even said, yeah, he's a nice guy, we have fun together and stuff like that, but it didn't shift her thinking in terms of him being marriage material.
Interesting. They only lasted 12 days, and in that period, Jasmina indicated that she was the one doing the calling, trying to communicate. But I do think that them not living together definitely put a distance on an already distant relationship. And it was really telling that Michael is the one who called the relationship off. But she had kind of moved away as well because they had another huge fight. And within the 12 days, they only really sounded like they saw each other one time when Michael made an effort to come and visit Jasmina.
Somebody has to let their walls down, and until that happens, it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will move on to Noi and Steve. So we see that Noi and Steve, they rehashed the love encounter. Noi has not become Noi Moi yet.
No.
And they are living together separately. They are living together, but she still keeps her apartment, and they are not seeing anything wrong with that. They're enjoying their time together, and every now and then they're apart, but mostly together. And they're in counseling. And that sounds like, I don't know if they just started counseling or if they've been in counseling for the full 5 months, but I was really glad to hear that they were in counseling.
Sriracha said that sometimes she thought that Steve talked in a condescending tone in general. And he said he doesn't mean to do it. She just says that that's how it comes out. So I guess he may have went to counseling to say, okay, I understand that we have communication issues, so I want to better that our communication. But a lot of times when they're having a fight or a discussion, he talks very cool, calm, and collective with a lot of reasoning. So I don't know, but it's good that they're in counseling.
I love that Sriracha in the end, Kevin said, I know that you are for Noi. And he said, I'm for both of them. And I love that is when you know that you are becoming a part of the family, when the family can now root for both of you and not just the side of the person on their relative.
Well, one thing that Steve said, that Noi attends a lot of his family functions. So that this relationship is warming up more and more and more and more, and that's good. And he also indicated that they're together in terms of dwelling together like 6 days out of 7 days in a week. And if Noi was thinking about, how was Steve going to support her and stuff like that, they're still paying for another dwelling that they need not pay for. So, if she really is concerned about finance, which now it doesn't seem like she is, because she's seen his bank account and she's seen how successful he is, it seems like now she's getting with the Team Steve program.
I like that they matched. I love that. They look really cute together. They look like a couple. And I do like that they have resolved their financial issues. And I love the way that Steve put it. He said that they have agreed upon a timeline.
Yes.
And then if they decide that he needs to get a job at that time, that he's agreed that he would be looking. So I feel like that is just making a statement that we're both going to give what I got going a chance to show her that it does work.
Yes.
And then if needed, and it sounds like he did make a couple of great investments that are really keeping the thing turning. I couldn't tell if she was still working or if she has now taken a break from her job. So I don't know. I hope that maybe they would elaborate on that on the next episode. It was nice to see that Noi is now willing to compromise.
Yes. 3
children, and it does not have to be exact, but we can negotiate it as it goes.
Yes, Noi is growing.
I felt like this couple, they kind of wrapped up all the issues that were kind of outstanding for them, and I really did appreciate that.
Yeah, it's called sacrifice. When you're in a loving, growing relationship, there becomes sacrifice. It's mutual on both parts. So, and I think that one, she knows that Steve loves her, and that goes a long way. He loves you, and now she knows he can take care of her. So, when you have someone that loves you and can take care of you, I think that makes the future seem a lot brighter.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, that's it for Noi and Steve. All right, well, now we get to our last couple, Lindsey and Mark.
Oh, yes.
So the big thing that happened in their discussion is Lindsey let us know that there is a Lindsey effect. And she is really glad that she was able to give Mark the Lindsey effect.
Yes.
She mentioned that she helped him through his job loss. She helped him through his dog dying. He's now making more money than he's ever made in his life.
Uh-huh.
She helped him renovate a 3-generational home.
Yes.
And that he is now in a better place from meeting her. But she is no better off for meeting him. And that's because that he does not know how to give, but that she hopes that he will now take the Lindsey effect and pass that along to someone else.
Well, you know what? I do agree with the Lindsey effect, but there's more to the Lindsey effect. Just like you just talked about the positive effect that Lindsey had on Mark, there was also the negative effect. And it was that negative effect that drove this relationship off the rails. We already know about how Lindsey's provocative speech in public, and how she just says stuff off the top of her head, and how she belittles Mark sometimes in public. All that stuff really started wearing on Mark. It started wearing on Mark, and that Lindsey seems to always want to be right. Okay, and sometimes when Lindsey acted as though she was the one that wore the pants in the house. Okay, so Mark, she treated him more like a kid than an adult, and he just could not handle that. He could not take that, and he said, "You know what? Not only did I lose 40 pounds, but I don't know how much Lindsey weighs, but he lost that amount of weight as well."
Yes, man, it really was interesting though about the timing. I can understand the bitterness that Lindsey experienced. If I'm going to help you, I'm going to give up my home. We're going to make this work. And, now we're renovating your place. And I don't know who was telling what, because he sounded like Lindsey ripped him up a new one. And she sounded like she felt like he ripped her up a new one. Because if somebody's telling you, you got to move out and, I'm going to put you out, I'm going to call because this is not your house, which is why they don't want you to move into a space that is owned by one person. I do hate that the timing for them happened, because I could see where Lindsey would feel used if she just gave up all of this, and now this is what it's coming down to. But I understand Mark's point too. The good does not outweigh the bad, because if you're putting me down all the time, and I don't even know if she realizes it, because even when she was talking about intellect, and Kevin said, "Don't you think that you're putting him down?" No, I don't. So I don't even know what to make of this couple.
It's kind of like when Lindsey got with Mark, it was like he was below her standard. It was kind of like, okay, you gave me somebody, and I'll work with it, but it's really not up to my standard. And I'm trying to pull him up, but you know what? So you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to just leave him as he is to himself until he grows. And I'm just going to go to San Francisco and find me a real man, somebody that's already at my intellectual level, and a strong man, a person that has direction, that already knows where he wants to go.
She said that she wanted somebody who would, say no to her and kind of put her in her place. But I don't think, I'm with Mark. I think that would have made the situation worse. I don't think that she would have simmered down. I think she would have perked up. And so I don't think that really would have worked for them. And I did like that they showed the positive moments of their relationship as to why we thought that it might work. And yeah, I just wish, I think that the marriage could have worked. And I think they both had good intentions. I just think that Lindsey is just unaware of how to change in terms of what she says to people. And I think it's evident by her saying she moved to San Francisco, yes, the Palo Alto, San Francisco area, because it's just better for her to be away from her family. And I think that says a lot, especially because we have met her dad. I don't know anything about her mom and her brother, and they seem like really reasonable people. And so you may really want to dial it back if other people are not experiencing a positive atmosphere when you're around.
But remember, her dad already knew about her personality, and he said that she could be difficult. But I think also Lindsey, what we found basically always felt unloved. She really did, and that's what she's seeking more than anything. She needs to be loved, and she needs that love to be validated. And when Mark first showed, when they were first together during the honeymoon period, when they first got married, I mean, it was all bliss. Okay. But then when Mark started to pull back because some of the things that Lindsey said started affecting him in a negative way, she couldn't handle that pullback, that pushback. And she didn't understand that it was because of her and because of the things that she was saying. Now, somewhere during the process that she did learn how to tone things down and how to hold her peace a little bit longer. So she did find some self-restraint. But when it came down to revenge and vengeance, oh my God. I mean, she goes for the jugular. So she doesn't refrain. I mean, she loves a good fight. Now she'll go for the jugular. And I think that sometimes, even in fighting, you have to fight fair. And Lindsey doesn't know that, okay? And I think that helps sever their relationship.
Yes, I agree. You do have to learn to fight fair, and you got to learn to stay on the subject that you're on, because we all experience that as well. So they didn't make it. I do feel sad about that. I wish they would have sought some counseling, and I wish that Lindsey would have been more self-aware. Well, that ends our review. It appears that Alyssa feels attacked in the next episode when Dr. Viviana is just asking her a question. Will Lindsey apologize to Mark? What's up with Katina and Olajawon? Does Katina really not take responsibility? Did Jasmine really try her best? And what happens to Noi? Does she not know what to believe? Is that related to Steve? Well, I guess we'll see in Reunion Part 2. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, live with intention. Be intentional.